Hello, everybody, and welcome to the DHP. Yeah, I know I'm a little bit late, like 5 seconds, though. It takes time to get stuff started. Today's DHP with Fister Farms, as always, is kind of a harvest episode because, the podcast didn't really exist, nor did the channel when we were doing harvest. Fister Farms how long have you been doing YouTube, Fister Farms?
I started last spring.
Okay, could you guys in chat hear that? Otherwise, I'm going to have to turn the volume up a lot more. I think this is our 5th episode of the DHP. I probably put it somewhere in the title. Maybe. I should look at that. Yeah, it's in the title. This is the 5th episode. We probably have, at least 2 or 3, maybe even 2 or 3 hours of stuff with the podcast. But I know, last episode was really bad because we didn't have anything planned out to talk about. This time, though, should be a little bit better. Is there anything you want to say before we get into the list of things to talk about today?
Nope.
Well, the first thing I'm going to talk about is the one and only thing Farming Simulator related until, unless I think of something else. You thought it was episode 2? Well, this is the second live episode. There are 3 other episodes that were recorded, and those are a lot better than the lives because you can cut out all the awkward silences, but this is the 5th episode total. The thing I want to talk about with Farming Simulator was the Case Early Riser 2150s that just came out yesterday or the day before. I feel like it was the day before with custom modding. They were very, very good planners. And since they're air planners, I think they're the only air planners that actually sound like air planners. Are those out for console, Fister Farms?
I don't think so.
Oh, well, that stinks. Hopefully they'll bring them at some point because they're good planners. Right now they got the 16 row. I believe the 12 and 24 rows are coming out. Facebook is a good place to watch that. Guys in chat who have PC, you can listen to this twice. I can't stand listening to it twice. That's why I have the playback turned off. Havoc Plays has arrived. Welcome, Havoc. Next thing on the list was, explaining what the harvest episode was, which I already did, but we'll do it again real fast. The channel, it was non-existent. Well, it wasn't non-existent. The farming videos didn't happen during harvest because we didn't start that until winter. And the podcast didn't exist either, so figured now, right before we got into spring stuff, was the best time to go ahead and do a harvest episode. And I'm sure this kind of confused people, being March 27th, I think. Yeah, March 27th. So the first thing I'm going to get into is the most important thing with harvest, for the most part, which is combines. Fister Farms, you want to explain what you guys have?
We got 2 Gleaner M3 combines, which we have one with a Gleaner head and one with a John Deere head. We have an adapter for the John Deere head. I prefer the John Deere head, but they get the job done. Hopefully next year we can get a bigger combine, but we're doing pretty good with what we got right now. 9500 would be nice, though.
Speaking of a 9500, that is what we have. Honestly, if I had to... Oops, I dropped the microphone stand. That's supposed to be screwed in. Whatever, it's not important. We have a 9500. It has a lot of the 10 series updates on it, so it's a really good combine. Moves pretty quick, takes care of everything just as well and better than we actually need it to. I just realized I didn't even do the stream timer to start this. Oop, I didn't want to, though. So it works just as well and better than we need it to. And I've always been looking for something like a 9660, 9670. I need to back up from the microphone. Audio input capture is saying this is way too loud. We've all been looking for something bigger, but this combine will probably serve us for the next few years just fine. And I don't know, the Gleaner, do they have, how much grain do they hold in the tank?
180 bushels. It's actually pretty impressive how much they can hold.
I was going to say, you guys are almost comparable to 9500 because we've got 20 more bushels on that, although sometimes when I'm running it ends up being like 30 or 20, 25 more, maybe. It depends how long you want to run after the beaver that your full goes off. You're trying to spill grain, but you also don't want to have to back out 20 feet from the end of a row. So yeah, that's the stuff about combines. What about grain prices? Grain prices have been really interesting this year, and I think part of that's because of COVID, and there's a whole lot of other factors that play into it, but grain has been selling way high this year. Any comments on that?
Yeah. I think we would have been better off storing ours for a little bit longer at the co-op, but we didn't. And then we sold it when the price was, well, we still came out ahead, but we could have came out further.
Yep, that tends to be the story I'm hearing this year, is that we should have kept it a little bit longer. And we should have too. I mean, because we had it all under contract, so that's why we still have it. It's under contract, so it's not like we can just sell it. But we didn't contract it necessarily terrible. I don't know what it was. I don't remember. I think it was like $9 beans, low $4 corn. I don't remember. But it wasn't terrible. It could have been a lot better, considering the fact that we had $13 beans and getting darn near $6 corn. So the prices have been crazy, and I don't know what they're going to look like for next year too. Speaking of next year, the 2021 year outlook, I'll give my opinion on what I think it's going to look like, and then I'll let Fister Farms talk about what he thinks it's going to look like, and you guys can decide for yourself what you think it's going to look like. My opinion, well, y'all know it's going to be a wet spring here in the Midwest. Farmers Almanac, like everybody says wet spring. It looks like it's going to be an interesting year, but then you got to remember, 2019 was also one of the wettest springs we've had here on record in Indiana, and it turned out to not be that bad of a year, even though everyone was saying it was going to be a terrible year. The thing is, everybody said this year is going to be a good year, so I'm worried that it's going to be the opposite of that. As far as prices, I'm hoping they don't take a dive after all of this stuff. Coronavirus prices have been so high, I'm hoping they don't just drop out of nowhere. That would be pretty devastating to general business and stuff, because if you can't make money, you can't really farm. And then the other thing, I mean, when you're talking about prices, they change on a dime, so I guess the best thing to do this year, in my opinion, is just play it by ear and hope prices stay high and yields are good. It's your turn.
I agree with you with that.
It seems to be I mean, almost every year you're farming, most of what you do is just play by ear and hold on to some hope that everything is going to go pretty well. And some years it does, some years it doesn't. Like, 2019 was a good example because we all thought it was going to be a really bad year, and about, I think, September, October, when we started harvest, we realized, okay, prices may not be great, but yields are really good. Had that been on a year where the prices were great too, 2019 would have been an awesome year. Despite the fact that there was for some people it was different. There was a lot of prevent plant and stuff. We did some prevent plant, but it came up anyway and did perfectly fine. Like 55, 60 bushel an acre beans. So I was impressed with how 2019 went. I can't remember. Do you remember if 2020 last year was a wet spring? I can't remember anything from last year.
I don't think it was.
I think that was a somewhat normal one. But we're in this La Nina pattern again, which means colder Pacific, which means more storms and rain for the Midwest, which is, I mean, it's cool to look at. You guys know we've only had like 1 or 2 streams on severe weather, but you guys know I like it. But it's also not good when you're trying to plant and then you can't plant. So hopefully this year we'll be getting started. Oh, give it 3, maybe 4 weeks. Hopefully, I don't really know when our first planting date is. It's probably bad, but give it a few weeks and we might be getting going. And I'll probably be working ground ahead of the planters some. Planters, plural.
Yeah, hopefully we can get our chisel plow out next weekend. I gotta work on some duals, and all of our big tractors are down at the moment.
Yeah, I think the 8070 is sitting at our repair shop because it wouldn't shut off. And we also broke one of the high and low range selector. We broke the metal knob off of it somehow. Go figure as to how that happened, but it did. So that's still sitting at the repair shop right now. And I think everything else is in good condition. The 4650 is fine. The 4240s aren't going to do anything, which is why I'm probably, come April 15th, going to drive them to school because that's our ag day and stuff. So hopefully. And I think the 826 never does anything. It's just sitting in the corner. I said I wanted to try to get stuff done with it this winter, but this winter was a lot busier than I expected, so it's still sitting in the same spot. Anything to add to that before we move on?
Nope.
All right, next thing is the best harvest moment. I know we're kind of skipping around here from harvest stuff to next year, but it's kind of that time where all you're thinking about is last harvest and next year, or this coming year. So you have any good harvest stories and stuff to talk about while I go quickly into my camera roll and think?
Yep.
Feel free to
So there was,
yeah.
I think it was 2 or 3 years ago, the neighbor, well, around here it's a lot sandier than it probably is down by you.
Oh, yeah.
There was this one field with a low spot in it, and I think it was pretty dry that year. And, well, he worked for Milk Source, which is pretty close to us. And he was combining corn, I think it was a Friday night. And, well, he buried his combine up to the axle, and that was a 9500 too.
Oh, boy.
This thing was buried, and it was only 2-wheel drive, so it wasn't going anywhere. He hooked his 4955 to the back of it. He wouldn't move. And he got the biggest tractor he could find and worked with, which was a 9560T or something. Or no, a 560T or something like that. It was a John Deere. It was really big, and he got it out with that. And then I got one more story.
Yep, I'm still looking. Go ahead.
The first year that we farmed our rented farm that we have now, we had a custom semi-driver do it instead of the co-op coming, which we still do have a person do it instead of the co-op. And, well, it's been going pretty good, but that year we really hadn't used the driveway there much, and it was still a pretty dry year. I think it was the same year he got his 9500 stuck. And we filled the whole truck. We didn't even have a grain cart that year. We still had wagons, and we still had just the one, our Massey 750 combine. But not as big as the gleaners. And we filled the whole thing full to the top. And it took us like an hour or two. And then we tried to pull forward, and it wouldn't move. So we went and got the neighbor's 4955 again, and it wouldn't move. So it's like 8 o'clock right now at night. They're unloading a truck in the field, and it was a dump style, so we dumped all the corn out of it, got it to move, and then we loaded on the road that night. It was like 4 a.m. before we got back.
Wow. Hey, by the way, Chad, if you have any questions about anything, feel free to ask those, because I am watching it, kind of. And then I do have a couple of stories. Wait, were you done with yours?
Yeah.
Okay. I remember this fall, our last day of soybeans, we only have one semi, and we couldn't get the elevator fast enough, and we got it full. So we had all of our soybeans that night on wheels. I don't know what time it got done, but it's about to rain. So we had to borrow a semi, and we had all that done. It's not really a good story, but that's how we ended harvest. And then Here's a funny story. Cutting beans, the first day we're cutting beans now. And it's 7:15, 7:30 maybe. It's starting to get dark. Like, the sun's getting ready to set. And I was combining beans, and I looked back in my mirror, and I thought the combine was on fire. So I was getting ready to stop, and I looked back, and I was like, wait a minute. I'm not sure the combine's on fire. I got out and looked, and it was a sunset. I'd put a picture up if I knew how to, but it did really look like the combine was about to catch fire. And then I think that's pretty much harvest rest. Oh yeah, so the first day of corn, I was climbing down the ladder to the combine, and somehow I kept my finger all the way open. I don't even know how, but I did. Don't really have a whole lot of interesting harvest stories from this year for some reason. Generally, or I'm just not remembering them. It's probably that. That said, we're down to our last topic today. What in the world was that? Okay, that said, we're down to our last topic today. And this one is 2021 YouTube goals. Mr. Farms?
I hope they can make 2,000 subscribers or more.
That is an awesome goal to have. 1 second.
Well, I'm almost to 500. I can need 8 more.
I just hit 100, actually, 101. So real quick, I want to say thank you to everybody who's watching, who was a part of that. Because we got 101 subscribers, and why is it saying quality's low? I don't care. It's just a picture, as long as you can hear me. So my goals are probably to... I would love to get my laptop uploading to YouTube so that I could screen record more of the Farm Sim stuff. I'd like to start up Throwback Thursday again, but being in school and being about time to get rolling again with planting and stuff, I think that is a goal that I'm probably not going to actually, get done. And then, as far as a subscribers goal, I don't really have one, except for keep going up. It's a good visual indicator that people are enjoying what's going on. I don't think I have any other real goals for 2021. I didn't really set any, is a bad thing. I wrote it down on the list, but I didn't actually set any goals. Well, that it for you?
Yep.
Alrighty, well, thank you for making it here today. I know you had a tight schedule, so I will let you go, close out this podcast, and then I have to go. So, thank you.
You're welcome.
Well, there's Mr. Farms, and my computer froze, is what? That's odd. Yeah, this is a shorter podcast than normally are. Sometimes they get between, I'm trying to think. We had one that was like 45 minutes of us rambling on about nothing. That was episode 4. Maybe don't watch that one. But essentially, thank you guys for 100 subscribers. If you haven't checked out Fister Farms, y'all should go do that. Because I know we've had like 3 or 4 people here over the time. That'll get him closer to 500. It would be awesome to see him hit 500 subscribers. So make sure you go do that and subscribe to his channel as well. I know I've had a couple questions about videos on the real farm, and I apologize. I'm trying, but there's really, it's pretty boring right now. I'm also not there right now, but there's really nothing going on at all. So thank you guys for watching. Be sure to comment, share, like, and subscribe, both to me and Fister Farms. He didn't have a live today, but normally when we're doing this, he does. So if you want to watch both streams at once, have at it. It might be a little confusing, like when I do it with my playback, but have at it. So hopefully you guys have a good day. Hopefully you enjoyed the really short harvest episode, and let's have a good year for 2021. I will see you guys later.